Ancient world. Many civilizations are worth every mention, but one stood high as an enigma of civilization that lived for an impressive and an astonishing, estimated 3,000 years. Considered an accomplished society of wondrously technological marvel in various fields such as architecture, medicine and agriculture. The adequate prowess to forge such a society like a harp instrument was typically magnificent. What comes to mind when the ancient Egypt is uttered? The ancient Egyptian lands was divided into two. The Upper Lands and the Lower Egypt. The naming of the two lands had absolutely nothing to do with their geographic positioning on the map, as you can see. Both the Upper and Lower Egypt was headed by kings. They had symbols of authority like the head crowns that they wore to symbolize their absolute power. The Lower Egyptian king wore this official red head crown, deshret, with a spiral structure protruding, while his counterpart in the Upper Lands wore this white conical crown. I'm sure you have watched the movies, Scorpion King. This movie is based on a real legend. True works of history. An envisioned man with guts of steel, thinking and seeing the beyond. Over the sands of time, his name has been a subject of vigorous, relentless debate among Egyptologists. This will continue being a subject of debate unless we usher in, discover and welcome in artifacts that have either failed the test of time or have learnt the art of secrecy. The important discovery made in 1887 by James E. Quibble gave the rise of the unification of the two lands, Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. This was the first and only artifact that depicted a sole unified ruler of both lands. This was the Narmer palette. Over time, the stories became myths and myths became legends, and the accuracy of the event became a symbolic figure. So the debate wrung heads until the discovery of Gunter Dreyer in 1993 at Abydos, which depicted the exact same events illustrated boldly in the Narmer palette. The palette itself is a work of art inscribing a mammoth event that occurred during the pre-dynastic period. Despite its size of just about 2 feet and its chevron shape, it gives us detailed march to Lower Egypt lands by Narmer. As shown in this image, the two cow heads, the image of Hathor benevolently looking down at the scene, illustrates the place and position of Narmer as an equal. In other terms, Narmer, divine authority. In this picture we have several characters. We will start with the most striking. The image of Narmer appearing to clobber a defeated foe with a mace. This signals the decisive victory for Narmer. The falcon bird with a human arm pulling the head of a human represents the god Horus binding the Lower Egypt to Narmer. Here we see dead foes. In decoding of this segment, it's believed to be symbolic in nature, as the dead enemies represents captured cities. The next register shows the record of a decisive battle with Narmer wearing the red crown of Lower Egypt, as a sign of victory and directing the soldiers marching in front of him. To the right are the neatly arranged, beheaded bodies of his defeated enemies. Again, he is by far the largest figure in the scene. This register depicts two of Narmer's servants controlling two lionesses with leashes. Their stylized, intertwined necks create the space in which the eye makeup was mixed. The implication is that Narmer controls the servants who, in turn, control the cats, another declaration of authority. Narmer appears in the bottom scene in the guise of a bull. Egyptian gods could also change their shape. This signified his ability to crush any revolting or rebellious town. The vision of this man with the face imprinted on a limestone stone has played into greater heights of reality, has contributed into unprecedented scale of mind-wowing wondrous society that still baffles both the archaeologists and the scientists of today. Scraping undoubtedly the longest-lived empire of the ancient world. Among many breathtaking achievements, they have an unrivaled first stone-built skyscrapers that has stood the sheer heat of time and still baffles the science of today, as they still can't explain how they were erected by primitive tools. Narmer was a great conqueror and an envisioned man, but what we won't know was if his envisioned empire is per his set standards. Or lesser.